That's right, everyone. It's time for another Luke to Infinity episode. Biden was inaugurated. COVID-19 cases are down. It wasn't even 24 hours since he was inaugurated, and you started to see cases plummet. Didn't see that coming. Luke to Infinity reporters have gotten part of an answer to a question that I asked on the last episode. We'll be going over that today, along with the most amazingly boring inauguration in the history of America. If you enjoy what you're listening to, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Get ready, everyone, because this is Luke to Infinity. Good day, everybody. Welcome to Luke to Infinity. I am your host, Luke, and joining me is everyone's favorite sound guy from the Luke and Me Show, Harry. We have a lot of stuff to go over in this episode, but before we get started, I would like everyone to please rise for the pledge to our flag.
I pledge allegiance to the United States of America, one nation, indivisible, under God, for real.
Thank you, President Biden, for leading us again. Okay, let's get right into this, because I know all of my 6 listeners out there are excited to hear what the Luke to Infinity reporters uncovered. That's right. We were able to get part of our answer to one of my questions that I asked last episode. The question was, I wasn't sure if hospitals and healthcare centers were testing for both COVID-19 and the flu when people go get swabbed. So it has been partially confirmed that most hospitals do test for both viruses and actually several others. But there's very little data on this because of the healthcare laws and such. But I guess my curiosity was mainly for the places that do the quick result testing for COVID-19. Do those places test for flu and other viruses? Because the COVID-19 tests at those types of places are literally 50-50. Okay, you'd be just as accurate if you flipped a coin. That's what I was talking about last episode. So our reporters are on the search for that answer. Let's see what I got here in my papers. Okay. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because the media isn't talking about it anymore. Hopefully I can finally put the last nail in the coffin on this COVID-19 subject. I plan on getting the vaccine, and I would like to do a play-by-play, like side effects report and stuff like that, just to keep everyone updated on my status. I know everyone's going to be worried about Luke to Infinity. I'm still dumbfounded, though, that COVID-19 has just about eradicated the flu. I mean, in 1 year, COVID
has taken this year.
Oh, come on, Harry.
Outbreak. It's taken more than 100 years. Look, here's the lives. When you think about it.
I couldn't have said it better, okay? No, really. It amazes me. It really does. COVID has caused flu cases to drop 99% in 1 year. And I went over this last episode. I know the viruses are not the same, but according to the CDC and health experts, these two viruses have a lot of similarities. And I just wanted to go over those similarities very quickly. And then I want to get to the amazing inauguration. Alright, so here we go. According to the CDC and health experts, quote, now I'm quoting from the CDC, COVID-19 is most commonly spread between people who are in close contact with one another, within about 6 feet, end quote. Now, according to the CDC and the same health experts, quote, people with flu can spread it to others up to about 6 feet away, end quote. Very similar, wouldn't you say? Harry's over there shaking his head, Also, CDC and experts say, quote, COVID spreads through respiratory droplets, or small particles, such as those in aerosols, produced when an infected person coughs, sneezes, sings, talks, or breathes. These particles can be inhaled into the nose, mouth, airways, and lungs and cause infection. This is thought to be the main way the virus spreads, end quote. Now for the flu, again, same CDC and experts, quote, most experts think that the flu viruses spread mainly by droplets made when people with flu cough, sneeze, or talk. These droplets can land in the mouths or noses of people who are nearby or possibly be inhaled into the lungs, end quote. Again, Harry shaking his head, very similar. Yes, this is all intriguing stuff here, okay? This is all from the CDC. You can go look at it yourself. I'm not making this up. So they sound similar. Surface spreading is similar as well. According to the CDC and the experts, quote, a person may get COVID-19 by touching the surface or object that has the virus on it, and then touching their own mouth, nose, or eyes. Spread from touching surfaces is not thought to be the main way the virus spreads. End quote. Now we go to the flu. Again, CDC and same experts. I'm quoting. It is also possible to spread the flu via surface contact. If a sick person coughs into their hand and then touches a doorknob or other surface, those who touch that same surface after and then touch their face can become infected. Less often, a person might get flu by touching a surface or object that has flu virus on it and then touching their own mouth, nose, or possibly their eyes. End quote. Again, very similar. Notice how they say for both viruses that surface transmission is not the main way they are transmitted. Okay, so I'm going to move on. Let's look at some symptoms really quick. All right, we're going through this. The CDC and health experts say symptoms for COVID-19 are, let me quote, fever or chills, cough, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, fatigue, muscle or body aches, headache, new loss of taste or smell, sore throat, congestion or runny nose, nausea or vomiting, diarrhea, end quote. Now for the flu, the CDC and health experts say symptoms are, quote, fever or feeling feverish, chills, cough, sore throat, runny or stuffy nose, muscle or body aches, headaches, fatigue, vomiting, diarrhea, end quote. Not sure about you, but I'm thinking those symptoms are similar. Last episode, I said COVID eradicated the flu. The article that I read from mentioned that the reason flu cases are so low is because of all the health precautions that everyone has been taking for COVID. Well, I'm going to challenge that statement using the research that I just went over from the CDC and other health experts. So if you put both of these viruses side by side on paper, according to the CDC and experts, both viruses are very similar. So if that be the case, shouldn't COVID-19 cases be just as low as flu cases? I'm going to let you listeners ponder that question. Okay, I just went over all of this stuff, so I'm just going to let you ponder that question. Now let's move on to a more interesting fact, okay, about the effectiveness of the vaccines that we're hearing about, especially for COVID. But here's a report from the CDC. Okay, so they said, according to a February CDC Morbidity and Mortality Weekly Report, the current influenza vaccine has been 45% effective overall against 2019-2020 seasonal influenza A and B viruses. Specifically, the flu vaccine has been 50% effective against influenza B viruses and 37% effective against influenza A. End quote. Now, this is from 2019-2020. So it's too early to tell the effectiveness of the 2020-2021 flu vaccine because this report was released in February of 2020. So we're still in January. It's still early. The 2020-2021 flu vaccine could be higher. It could be more effective. It could be lower. It could be less effective. It could be about the same. We'll just have to wait and see, everybody. Now, here's the interesting part, okay? The COVID-19 vaccine. Here's an article from WebMD. Quote, according to results published in the New England Journal of Medicine, in Pfizer's large clinical trial, the 2 doses of the vaccine were shown to be 95% effective at preventing COVID-19 cases. That's more than twice the effectiveness of the annual flu shot, which typically carries a 40% effective rate. The clinical data also suggests the vaccine may prevent COVID-19 after just the first dose alone, with a 52% effectiveness rate, end quote. That 52% is still more effective than the annual flu vaccine. So, I know a lot of you right now are just screaming at me. You don't know what you're talking about. The COVID-19 is not the flu. But they are extremely similar, according to the CDC and the experts. You can't deny the experts here. So before you yell at me and before you say that I'm wrong, make sure you yell at the CDC and the experts first, because I am reporting what they have out there publicly. You can go look at it. The only main differences between the flu and COVID-19 is no one knows how long COVID-19 lasts on surfaces. That's the only difference. The flu lasts, 15, 20 minutes on a surface, and no one knows how long COVID-19 lasts. However, remember, the CDC says for both viruses that surface transmission is not the main way they are spread. And the other difference is the effectiveness of the vaccines. So don't tell me that they are extremely different and that COVID-19 is deadlier when it's the CDC and the other health experts that are describing them as almost identical. Not me. They are saying this. They have written this. They have published it. They have posted it. Go look for it. It's there. But please don't take my word, okay? Do your own research. I encourage you, please. Now, let me just give you a scenario, because here's the thing that makes the least sense to me. Pretend for 1 second that we know nothing about the flu or COVID-19. So you have two viruses. One of them has a vaccine that is 45% effective at best, and the other has a vaccine that is 95% effective. If you were told that you had to continue to wear a mask for one of these viruses, even after getting both vaccines, which virus would you think you have to continue to wear the mask for? The one with the lower effective vaccine, or the one with the higher effective vaccine? And this is a rhetorical question, people, because the answer is quite clear. It's the virus that has the lower effective vaccine that you would think you should still wear the mask for. But we live in an alternate reality. For some reason, simple math, science, basic common sense, and simple logic are being ignored. We're being told that you have to continue to wear a mask for the virus that has the higher effective vaccine. And I simply ask, why? Please, someone come up with a reasonable answer that doesn't involve insults and a guilt trip of "people are dying" phrase, and accusations that "I just want people to die" phrase. If someone can get me an answer that makes sense, doesn't have all the nonsense, follows the science, and provides a well thought out explanation that I should still wear a mask after I get the vaccine, then I will listen to you. But I have a strong belief that an answer like that doesn't exist. Just doesn't exist, because COVID-19 has been politicized to push an agenda. It's as simple as that. If you're still not convinced, though, if you still think that I am wrong, then I have one more article that will blow your mind. This is from the New York Times, the liberal New York Times. And it's titled, and you can look it up, "The Future of the Coronavirus? An Annoying Childhood Infection." Now I'm going to read a little bit from the article here. Quote, "Scientists predict once immunity is widespread in adults, the virus rampaging across the world will come to resemble the common cold. New research suggests that the virus will be of concern only in children younger than 5 years old, subjecting them to mere sniffles or no symptoms at all. As millions are inoculated against the coronavirus, and the pandemic's end finally seems to glimmer into view, scientists are envisioning what a post-vaccine world might look like, and what they are seeing is comforting." End quote. Now, it also goes on to say that, here's another quote, "Once most adults are immune, following natural infection or vaccination, the virus will be no more of a threat than the common cold." It says doctors, quote, looked to the 6 other coronaviruses for clues to the fate of the new pathogen. 4 of the 6 are, quote, common cold coronaviruses and produce only mild symptoms. While all of these coronaviruses produce a similar immune response, the new virus is most similar to the common cold coronaviruses. End quote. This is the left-wing New York Times, people. That's who's saying this. This article was published January 12th, and no one heard about it and no one reported on it. The only way to find it was to actually do research. News like this doesn't fit the left's narrative, so it won't be reported in the mainstream media, even if it comes from a left-wing news outlet. But I will say this. Another reason you didn't hear or see this story was because it was buried beneath the noise from the Washington, D.C. riot. It's so obvious how the media picks and chooses what to report on based on an agenda. Okay, so that seals it for COVID-19. I'm done with that. But never let a crisis go to waste unless the crisis hurts their narrative. Then you can ignore it. Which brings me to the planned riots on the 50 state capitals. Yep. Biden was inaugurated yesterday. And yes, Washington, D.C. is in shambles. Fires on every corner. Buildings have been burned to ashes. Small businesses were looted and ruined. Windows broken. Wendy's cheeseburgers are scattered all over the streets. Mass chaos. Wait a minute. That didn't happen, Harry. Washington, D.C. is fine. Every state capital is fine. But I thought the FBI said there was going to be planned armed riots everywhere. Remember this? Yeah, the FBI said they had evidence that there were planned riots on every state capital on Inauguration Day. Huh? I guess that didn't happen. Huh. I guess Luke to Infinity was right again. Yes. Here's what I said. And apparently the FBI says that there is planned armed riots at all 50 state capitals. Really? This isn't true. It's impossible, and it's not going to happen. So where are these violent riots? Where are they? Nowhere. Why? Because the FBI is not a reliable source. They lied to stoke fear into people. They tried to push the outrageous idea that Trump supporters are terrorists and will destroy the country, when in all reality, Trump supporters did not riot at every state capital yesterday, and they were not the ones that caused the violence in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. And don't tell me that the reason there were no riots was because the National Guard was called in. Don't feed me that nonsense, okay? The National Guard was called in as a stunt and for a display of power. If the left wants to say that the National Guard prevented the violent riots from happening, then why the heck is Portland, Oregon still on fire? Yesterday, there was a protest by Antifa in Portland, and they are calling for Biden to step down already. Yeah, they were setting things on fire, carrying signs that said, "We don't want Biden, we want revenge." There's graffiti all over buildings with the Antifa symbol. Get the National Guard over there and actually do something. So don't give me that nonsense, okay? This was just a big show at the inauguration, and it meant absolutely nothing. Did anyone even watch the inauguration? I know the Clintons were there, and Bill Clinton fell asleep during Biden's speech. That was kind of funny. There were more people gathered to see Trump leave Washington, D.C. and like bid him farewell. And then there were even more people gathered to see him arrive in Florida than there were at the inauguration. It was a snooze session, and Bill Clinton used this opportunity to catch up on some sleep. Good for him. Biden did say that he will fight as hard for those who did not support him as for those that did. Does that mean when my taxes go up, I have a right to complain? I hope he helps me and fights for me when my taxes go up. He offered a silent prayer for those lost to COVID, and that was nice. But he ended with amen. He forgot a woman. How dare he? He said, may God bless our troops, but I don't think he even thanked them for being there. I don't know. Maybe he did early in the speech. I don't know. But back to the FBI, okay? They should issue an apology for fear-mongering. The only people rioting were the people on the far left that want complete chaos. But you won't see that reported on in the media. All you're seeing now is news about Biden signing executive orders to undo everything Trump did. I'm not so sure he even knows what he's doing. He's definitely being told to do this. He claims he ran as a moderate, and in his inauguration speech, he preached about being united and coming together. But just you wait, I'm telling you. The Democrats in Congress are going to try and do things without him. He's not their leader. He's a placeholder. He's a tool. And he's a pawn in the Democrats' quest for power and control. I hope that Joe Biden, President Biden, I hope he figures this out quickly. Because if he doesn't, he will soon realize that his own party is out of control. But I fear by the time that he realizes this, it will be too late. His own party will be removing him from office. Or they will at least try to remove him from office. I mean, the guy will be 80 years old come the midterm elections. He's already suffering from early stages of dementia now. 2 years from now, it'll be really easy to prove cognitive decline for him, and then they'll have him removed. The Democrat Party is being controlled by the radical left. Barack Obama was not radical enough for them. Joe Biden is not radical enough for them. Why do you think they forced him to pick Kamala Harris as his vice president? So, once all the pieces are in place, and once Biden is removed, Kamala Harris will throw this country into complete socialism, and she'll do it in a very short time. But if I am wrong about this, let's just say that Biden is the golden boy, and he's the hero of the left, and he is radical enough for them. Well, then we can only hope that since Biden is a 50-year politician with zero accomplishments, that he'll do just that. Absolutely nothing. True politicians run on all kinds of promises that they make during their campaign, during their speeches, whatever they do. They say they're going to do big things, and then they end up doing nothing. Biden is a Class A example of this. He's accomplished nothing his entire life as a politician. So why would he start now? Well, I've gone over a lot of material here. Whew, man. So I'm just going to wrap up this episode of Loop to Infinity. We're really going to stay focused on what Biden is doing and what the Democrats are doing, because what the Democrats want and what President Biden wants, they're just completely different. They're way different. So we'll keep you updated on all of that. So join us next time on Loop to Infinity as we dive deeper and deeper into infinity.